Welcome back to this edition of Minstrels on the Block. Special guest Mike Matthews. So, you got back into the music.
Yeah, I got the guitar out. I wrote what I thought was a good song, so I got my guitar out and tried to put words, put music to it, and got interested in playing again. And about that time, I think Nashville Star was auditioning down at the Loft, trying to get people for the show. I don't have the voice. I was much too old for what they were looking for.
Yeah.
They look for more of a pop sound now, and somebody with the looks in their 20s and things like that. But my idea was, if you get before the judges, it's a possibility somebody can hear some of your original works, or you can get a song
exposure
out there. Right. So I made it down to the Loft and got up on stage, and I didn't make their little semifinal things and didn't go anywhere. But it did do one thing for me. It got me used, wanting to get out in front of people, wanting to play. And then I began entering a few song contests.
Cool.
And I had a song called Singing, Drinking, Dancing All Night Long.
Nice.
Mailed it into a contest in conjunction with the Hank Williams Festival down in Georgiana. It was a national contest. They selected 25 people to come down and actually play their songs. I think it was about 80 to 100 had entered, and I was one of the ones selected.
Wow.
So my first time really on the stage, I stepped down in front of about 1,000 people. Now, until that time, I'd played in front of my wife. Sitting in our sunroom at the house, and that was it.
Wow.
So it was a little bit of a shock. But
Do you have stage fright?
I'm sorry?
Do you have stage fright?
No,
Okay.
Not really. Your nerves hit you a little bit, but it's a good feeling. It's kind of like when I go back to when I drove the stock cars. I was much scarier then.
Oh, yeah.
Than getting on the stage. But, I don't do drugs or anything like that, but it's kind of the biggest high. It gets your adrenaline going when you can step in front of the crowd and you kind of control that crowd with your songs and get the audience behind you.
Yeah.
It gives you a feeling or a high that I don't think any drug or anything could touch.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we do it. It's just a great feeling to get sharing.
Oh, yeah. Gary Palmer once told me there's no drug like standing on stage in front of people.
Right.
And he's right.
And it doesn't matter so much if it's 5 or 6 people or if it's 1,000 people. To me, it comes easier with the more people.
Yeah.
It's much simpler. I'm more nervous in a crowd of 2 or 3 people or family members than if you put me in front of several hundred people. I guess because when you got the audience, you feel them, or
feed off the energy.
Right. And it seems to go a little bit better. But from there, I began playing a few open mics around the area and entering more contests. Not so much to that I wanted to win the contest. I began pitching a few songs, sending them off to some of the labels and things like that. And I'm still in the process of doing that. But it got me playing. Got my brother back playing. He had put his guitar down for several years. We began playing a lot of open mics down at the Loft and around town, things like that.
And now you are associated with the NSAI, aren't you?
Yes, I'm not an actual member of the Nashville Songwriters Association International, but I do go to the meetings. They're held here in Columbus. They have been held at the River Center. They're changing to a new location, to the White Bank building downtown off of Broadway. But it's a good opportunity for any new songwriters to come and learn how to craft a song, not get too many words, make the verses right, work with your structure, your rhyming, your bridges, your chord progressions, and things like that.
Yeah. And that's cool. It's a great way to mingle with other singer-songwriters and, like you said, get the structures and everything, and even possibly get a hit.
Right.
So tell me what you, as far as what you hope to do in the future.
Well, like I say, I'm 58 years old now, and if you look at the commercial radio and television and everything, except for people like Willie Nelson or somebody like that, I'm a little bit older than that. I don't really have visions of stardom, but I enjoy what I'm doing. And you can always be a songwriter. I consider myself a songwriter first, entertainer second.
Right.
You're always looking for that hit. Now, that's where my problem comes in. I write traditional country. There's not as big a market now for the traditional country as there was perhaps 30 years ago. Maybe instead of sitting in stock cars, I should have sat down with a guitar 30 years back. It might be a different story. But you always want to get that hit out there. I do enter a lot of song contests. A lot of that is to get the exposure and try to be able to pitch the songs.
Yeah.
But also I enjoy playing the different venues. That leads to playing some of these festivals and fairs and things like that, and get you in front of a crowd. And I enjoy traveling, playing in different towns and things of that nature.
Cool. Yeah, as far as I was reading on the internet one day, because I was like, thinking, here I am pushing fill in the blank. And I was like, man, what you call it, the machine wants people, 20 years old.
Right.
And I was looking at how old before you can not be successful.
Yeah.
And it said, well, music is an exchange between two people, between the person giving and the person listening.
Right.
And the person himself was saying that, what I've listened to an older person, yes. So, it's never too late.
Yeah.
Maybe for some of the more poppy mainstream things. But
Right. Well, here's the thing. In traditional country, your artists of the 70s and 80s, they're still out there. You still have Merle Haggard, you still have George Jones. Their voices are as great as ever. They're still touring around the country, but they don't get airplay.
Right.
Nashville is kind of the record companies. Nashville sort of controls and is a pop-oriented type to a younger crowd.
Yeah.
In my own opinion, through songwriting, I don't really like the material. Not that it doesn't sound that good, but the songs themselves, the wording, they're big on co-writing now.
Yeah.
And NSAI is big on co-writing. And personally, I prefer the old days where you put down your own thoughts. And I do co-write with my wife. My wife, by the way, she was a professional musician herself, Janice. She played drums for several years with bands. It's been a while. She gave that up, and she became an artist, got into painting and things like that. But she manages me. She does co-write with me. We do sometimes sing together, and she helps me along with my career. But as far as the traditional artist, the point I'm trying to make is if you can't see a George Jones on the TV now or the radio now, what hope is there for an unknown to come along and do that?
Cult following, my friend.
Right. Now, satellite radio is helping to change some of that.
Yeah.
So, I still pitch. There's a record label called Rustic Records out of Nashville. Mm-hmm. And I'm good friends of the owner, Mr. Jack Snyder. He bought the company from, I believe, little Jimmy Dickens used to own it.
Oh, cool.
And we correspond back and forth, and I'll send him up songs, and sometimes he'll bring in his artists, mostly newer artists that he has working for him. They'll come in and listen, see if they want to take a crack at some of them. Some of the songs he's liked, a lot of them he sends back to me, and he tells me what he's looking for. So I grab the pen out and start trying to write a song to tailor it, So I'm still pitching songs.
Okay, so let's actually hear another one of your songs that you have written. Okay. And there's one point I wanted to make is that you said that Nashville is big on co-writing now, and I have no problem co-writing with anybody, but I do think it's a mistake for people to believe that you can't write a good song by yourself.
Right. But now they tend to take the artist and stick him with some writers so they can get his name on that record with it. And they produce some songs that really, I think they're looking for the money in the radio market rather than, the creative skill that you can do by yourself.
Right back after this.
This is a song I wrote about a fellow who's trying to get the woman in his life to come back to him. It's called Leave All Bad Memories Behind. Woke up in this big old house this morning. The bright sunlight, it brings a brand new day. But living here without you is so lonely. I'm searching for the words I need to say. It's been almost 2 years since you left me, and we both know that fight we had was wrong. But if I had my way, I would bring you back to stay, and we could turn this lonely house into a home. Can't you see I still love you? How I wish, Lord, your heart was mine. If you would come back home, back where you belong, we could leave all bad memories behind. sparkle in your eye makes me love you. But when you're sad, it only makes me cry. To have you back is all I ever dream of. To hold you right by my side. I promise there will be lining roses, romance each night if that's alright with you. And if my dream comes true, then I will promise you a life with love in everything we do. Can't you see I still love you? How I wish your heart was mine. If you would come back home, back where you belong, we could leave all bad memories behind. Yes, if you would come back home, back where you belong, we could leave all bad memories behind. We could leave all bad memories